It is time to roar around the ring. Coming off of Crown Jewel, we got Survivor Series coming up, a Saturday night's main event in between. That dude, Darrell Taylor, is here with me. I'm Justin Valentine. And yes, we're coming off of Crown Jewel, but we're also coming off of one hell of a twist and a turn that could be great, could not be great. An injury might be forcing the issue. Yes, we're talking about Seth Rollins, the Vision, and how Raw came to an end. First, CM Punk earning a number one contender shot after defeating Jey Uso and LA Knight, beaten down by the Vision. We thought it would be your typical ending that we've been seeing when it comes to the Vision storyline, but then Bron Breakker spears Seth Rollins. Bronson Reed adds onto it. Paul Heyman seems to be with it, and now the Vision comes to an end. Again, there's rumors of a Seth Rollins injury, and we don't know how long he will be out, what that will look like with the world title. But Daryl, again, injury or not, is this disbanding of the Vision a good move?
Well, it seems a bit rushed. I mean, circumstances aside, I don't know. Obviously, everyone's speculating on the specifics, the details, backstage stuff. We don't really know. I guess in the coming weeks we'll find out more. We'll probably find out more tomorrow night.
Right.
I don't know, but even with an injury, it feels a little rushed. Even if it's like, okay, well now we're gonna, kickstart the Bron Breakker main event scene, which many people are assuming is where they're going with this. But it's just even with an injury, it still feels like we kind of jumped the gun here.
Yeah, it's interesting because you say the Bron Breakker main event scene, and that definitely feels like the way they want to go. Paul Heyman seems to be more focused on Bron Breakker than Bronson Reed, and that's a whole deal. It is rushed, right? Injury or not, it is rushed. This was we compared it, and we've talked about it a few times since it began around WrestleMania season. We compared this to maybe Evolution, right? Seth Rollins is Triple H. Paul Heyman is Ric Flair. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed are your Batista and Randy Orton. Those guys, they barely got wins, during this faction with the Vision, let alone titles. So there's didn't feel like it gave them as much as it should have when it came to this Vision coming together. And if Seth Rollins is actually hurt, if he's going to be out for a while, I understand, but that doesn't mean you break up the Vision. Paul Heyman is a mouthpiece of all mouthpieces. There is no reason why you couldn't keep the Vision together in honor of Seth Rollins, right? And have that be, CM Punk is your number one contender. Push the world title to CM Punk or someone in that scene and have Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed be your main challengers in honor of Seth Rollins. It gives Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed that spotlight without having to end what we thought was a big deal for Seth Rollins' career. He's paired up with Paul Heyman. He's the leader of this faction that has all these future main event stars, and we got less than a year of that. And again, injury, I get, you have to pivot. The most famous word of the Triple H era is pivot, but this was a pivot that wasn't necessary. So if you, at least in my eyes, and I feel like a lot of people are like, wait, we're already doing this?
Yeah.
So if you didn't want this disband to happen, and say Seth Rollins is out for a number of months, how would you have booked a Seth Rollins injury storyline when it comes to the world title and when it comes to the Vision?
I mean, I guess there's a number of ways you can do it. You could have it to where, tomorrow night or on Raw, it's just Seth Rollins just blatantly refuses to give up the championship.
Sure.
And leaves with it.
Sure.
And then it's like, okay, well, now Punk is number one contender and he just has to face somebody else to decide the champion. And now we're in a two champion situation. You have a thing where they can just pass it to Bron. I don't know if I like that. I'd rather you just vacate the title, which is how I would book it. Vacate the title. And CM Punk gets his match against whomever that can be decided. Yeah. There could be another triple threat. There could be a one-on-one. There could be a fatal four-way. That winner faces CM Punk, and there you go. That's your title. That's your title match. I don't know. I guess, I mean, either way, you can have CM Punk run with it until Seth comes back and there's your built-in feud. Or you can just have Seth refuse to vacate it and just leave with the championship, which opens up a whole other web of things.
Right. If this doesn't pivot to a CM Punk title run, that guarantees, at least in my eyes, that they're dead set on CM Punk and Cody Rhodes for WrestleMania coming up in Vegas. And even a Seth Rollins injury, they don't want to, mess that up in any way. But I love the idea of Seth Rollins refusing to give up the title. Paul Heyman is known to have a lot of stroke in the company, right? And he's been involved, and now he's not with Roman Reigns. You and I were talking a couple days ago about this. What about The Rock? What about using The Rock? And no, I'm not talking about The Rock showing up, but Paul Heyman refusing to give up the title, and you have Adam Pearce out there saying, no, he has to vacate it. And then Paul Heyman uses The Rock as his leverage. This could have led to a big story. Again, you could, and all these ideas does exactly what they're trying to do right now. And that is make Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed continue to look important. Because Paul Heyman can use The Rock saying, hey, I spoke with The Rock, and he has agreed that no, Seth Rollins should not. And now you can get Triple H involved, and Triple H comes face to face with Paul Heyman and maybe Bron Breakker or Bronson Reed. And they're kind of, protecting that title. CM Punk has been involved in so many title controversies, unintentionally so, by the way. When it comes to the summer of Punk and AEW, he was the real world champion. Yeah. Like, he's been involved in stories like this, and they always feel so intense and fun. You could have done another version of that and made Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed continue to look important. And I feel like The Rock would have been a great way to use it. Again, we don't need The Rock to show up. Right. We just got to say his name. We know the status that he has in the company. We know the history he has with Triple H. And Triple H wouldn't love that. And the second Triple H got involved, instantly that story is a top story in WWE, even without Seth Rollins.
I agree. The cool thing about kicking that off, and this kind of makes me lean more to the Seth Rollins refusing to vacate, is kind of speaking to what you said. Adam Pearce tells Paul Heyman after Seth Rollins, be it he shows up or he's on the Titantron, and just lets it be known, I'm not showing up. I'm not giving this championship back. And, if you come to my house to get it, I'm seeking the dogs on you, so to speak, whatever it is. Sure. By the end of the show, we have Pearce telling Heyman, you need to fix this. You need to get that championship back. Before Raw goes off the air, Paul Heyman picks up his phone and says, call the final boss. That's what we leave the cliffhanger on. We assume going into the following week that a conversation has been had. You can have Triple H come out. When Heyman comes out to the ring to make an announcement, Triple H interrupts him before the announcement's made. Right. And we just build from there of, hey, I know you're going over my head. I know you're taking it to the top. And I'm running this show. You're not going to go over me. You're not going to go over Pearce. This can bring in, like you said, The Rock doesn't have to actually show up. It's effective enough to have Pearce or Triple H backstage get a phone call and just kind of walk off very kind of PO'd about the conversation they're having, where it's like, okay, Rock is pulling strings here. He's the final boss. Heyman just kind of with the shitty grin on his face, like, yeah, we're going to do it this way, where you can have Pearce and Triple H. The thing is, we're still going to go forward with Punk getting his shot. Even if Punk wins the championship they put on him, as this is the new World Heavyweight Championship, who better than who to want to screw over CM Punk than The Rock? Right. It all works. And him working in contingency with Seth Rollins to screw over CM Punk, it just kind of writes itself.
And the added layer to that is the fact that Roman Reigns is no longer with Paul Heyman. And I still believe we may have a route to a Roman Reigns Rock match, especially if Seth Rollins is out for a minute, right? Because a lot of people think Roman Reigns and Rollins at WrestleMania. And if Seth Rollins misses WrestleMania, you have Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman at odds. And of course, we've already seen the Bronson Reed match and everything like that. Now Roman Reigns is going at the Usos, and he is asking why they can't have his back right. In my brain, I've thought to myself, okay, Roman Reigns thinks the Usos can't have his back correctly. Who could have his back? And that could be The Rock. We could get some cool tag matches, right? Roman and Rock versus The Vision versus the Usos before Roman and The Rock turn on each other, right? That could be an angle to get us to WrestleMania, and this could be another. If Rock is helping out Paul Heyman of all people, and if Rock can be ready for a match, come April and WrestleMania in Vegas, that could also open up that door to a Roman Reigns Rock rivalry. If it's not a match, it's a promo, it's a story, it's an angle, something along those lines. So it's another reason to potentially do it, right?
Well, to your point in bringing Roman Reigns into the conversation, That's another avenue I was thinking. Now, let's say they don't do the thing where Seth refuses to give up the championship. It's a thing where he kind of like, all right, he has to give it up, it gets taken away, but he has obviously this existing beef now with the Vision or whatever it is now.
Right.
Is there a way that, depending on when he would come back, is there a way that we lead to a potential tag team reunion with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns? One night only deal, right? But the buildup is, I mean, you got this thing where it's like you can have, Roman getting beat down. We've seen it already with Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, but let's just say, however you want to get to that point, Roman getting beat down. This is Seth's big return from the injury. His music hits, the crowd goes nuts. He runs in. They both are fighting off Reed, Breakker, whomever, right? And they just happen to bump back to back with each other, and we get that moment where they stare each other down. And it's like, okay, this is kind of like the DX reuniting in 06 thing, where it's like you see the seeds are planted. We know we're getting kind of a Shield reunion here, but we're just like, we're waiting for you to make it official. These guys are going to team up, common enemy, and we can do the whole fist bump thing again, and the crowd's going to lose their shit.
Well, and then Moxley's over in AEW shoving Darby Allin's head into a fish tank, so maybe he can just come over. He's not doing anything too important. So he can.
You know what? Let's just get. If he's too busy doing that, there's always Kurt Angle. Let's just get him to show up again. I mean, he looks like he's dropped a few pounds. He can slide that vest right back on.
Let's go.
Kurt, you ain't got to do too much, man. Just slap an ankle lock on and we'll call it a night.
Just make sure you look as happy as you did the first time you were in the Shield.
Just like a Make-A-Wish kid. Like,
oh my God.
like the dad. Like, no, Kurt Angle's smile was like the dad that was just so happy to be there to support his kids.
Yeah.
And it was like, I love this for you.
Yeah.
Get out of the
way. My kids are accepting me. They're hanging out with me.
All right, Dad, look, you can be here, but just stand on the apron there.
Don't embarrass me, please. Real quick before we move on from this, Paul Heyman specifically, does this hurt? Could this hurt his credibility? Because he's kind of bounced around a lot this year, which is not normally a Paul Heyman thing, right? He started with Roman Reigns. He went with CM Punk. He went with Seth Rollins. You add in Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. And by the way, WrestlePalooza, he was announcing Brock Lesnar, who we haven't seen. So now he's turning on Seth Rollins, and who knows where this goes. Does all this bouncing around of Paul Heyman kind of lose the credibility of current day Paul Heyman? Not all time, of course, but current day, present day Paul Heyman. Is it too much bouncing around?
I mean, Paul Heyman's been such a hoe lately. It's just, come on, guy. It's just, come on. Paul Heyman's for the streets. I mean, it really.
He'll be the first to tell you that,
but
too.
I get it. It's kind of been a thing of like, all right, wait, where does your allegiance lie? Right. Like, who are you with, dude?
Right.
Like, the first year, I'm surprised at this point, after the little heartfelt back and forth they had, he's not managing Michael Cole. It's just, like, dude, who are you with? I mean, at some point, I'm like, do all roads lead back to Brock Lesnar here? Is he just going to come in and ruin this whole thing? And it's like,
that's the weird thing.
Brock Lesnar is the one that's going to go after CM Punk for that title now. Like, I don't know. Are we doing that? Like, who knows? That's Brock Lesnar, and I'm peppering Brock Lesnar into the conversation for no reason other than he's Brock fucking Lesnar.
But
who knows? Fit. That could be the big swerve.
He would fit though, because the team of Brock, Bron, and Bronson writes itself. Right, there's your T-shirt.
The Heyman Alliance.
The Heyman Alliance, and also it could lead to a Brock Lesnar Bron Breakker match if one gets jealous of the other kind of situation, and even Bronson Reed. I also want to make sure we don't lose focus, because as much as big picture speaking, Bron Breakker is the focus. Man, they're pushing Bronson Reed quietly a lot more than Bron Breakker. Yeah. This dude has a PLE win over Roman Reigns. Bron Breakker does not. You know what I mean? Like, Bron Breakker has nothing of the, not a title, not a big win, nothing. Bronson Reed has 2 PLE matches, one-on-one with Roman Reigns, and 1 win. That's huge.
That's big.
He should be the one. If we're going to put the title on one member of the Vision right now, it's Bronson Reed, not Bron Breakker. We got time for Bron Breakker. That's
Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed stole the man's shoes.
The Shulafog, the tribal thief. Come on.
You don't steal someone's Jordans and call it a day. No,
that's not all you want.
Shoes cost too much damn money for that, man.
Oh man! All right, let's run the gauntlet of everything else going on in the world of wrestling, specifically in WWE. And of course, we are on the final dates of John Cena's retirement tour. Logan Paul match has come and gone with the win. He got beaten down by Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza, and then he had a classic match with AJ Styles where he got the win at Crown Jewel. How are you feeling about the retirement tour, and where do you want this to kind of end off?
I really, the more this goes on, this later half of it, I really wish we didn't do the heel turn, especially because there was nothing that really came to fruition from it. If this had been what we were doing the whole time, I think it would have been perfect, man, because I'm loving everything about it. The WrestlePalooza nonsense aside, this last match with AJ Styles was amazing. I mean, just the callback to all the different shout outs and finishers, the introduction of AJ, the move, the match itself was great. I'm loving it, dude. I really, I know, what does he have left? Like 3 dates, 4 dates?
Something like that. Yeah.
We're winding down pretty quick here. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm wondering, I really, really, really wish there was a way to get Edge back for the match, for a final match.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want to see.
So for me, when it comes to the heel turn, I'm still not going to say I wish we didn't do it. I wish it went better. I wish it didn't end so weirdly and suddenly. And I wish it started better. And I wish The Rock didn't screw it all up. I'm not mad at the heel turn. I will stand on that to this day. One thing and as we wind it down, what I'm saying is I wish we didn't put a number of dates. I wish we would have just said he's given us one more full-time run and leave it at that, because it takes away from the excitement, because we know we're only going to see him X amount of times. Yeah. So there's no excitement of, could he be on Raw tonight? Could he be on SmackDown tonight? Could he have this match, that match, this match? No, because we know he only has 4 dates. One of those is Survivor Series. One of those is Saturday. They've already listed them all. So we already know if we're going to get this match, that match, this match, that match, it's only going to be on those 3-4 dates. And it kind of takes away from the excitement. So I wish we didn't put a number on the dates. The AJ Styles match was for me, and I'm sorry for the Brock Lesnar match, because that just should not have happened at all. And it shouldn't have happened the way it did.
It was a waste.
Well. It was a waste. It was a waste of a John Cena date, especially because we're putting a specific number on it. And you just wasted one of them on that. For me, I agree. Edge Adam Copeland would make sense. If it makes contractual sense, I doubt it. It's starting to feel that way. I wonder if, though, because he did have a feud, and there's talks of Chris Jericho and what his status in AEW is. And you would think Royal Rumble, but then this would only be a few weeks before the Rumble, his final match.
Yeah.
I mean, Jericho was around. Jericho was his first pay-per-view match. Kurt Angle.
Yeah, when he moved over to Raw. Yeah.
Yeah. Vengeance in Detroit, by the way. John Cena, Chris Jericho. That was Cena's first pay-per-view match, so that would make sense. I wouldn't mind that. We've mentioned Brock Lesnar a couple times. Unfortunately,
real quick.
Go ahead.
What do you make of the Manning Brady photo that he posted?
That's what makes it interesting, because who is his Peyton Manning? Because we're assuming he's Tom Brady, and like
So the theory. No, go ahead.
Well, because Peyton Manning is Tom Brady's biggest rival, but then if you really want to think it, Tom Brady was the one that held Peyton Manning back for so long. Peyton Manning could not get over the Tom Brady hump for the longest time. So I might be thinking too much into it, but who is that for John Cena? Who couldn't get over the John Cena hump for the longest time?
I don't know, because I feel like everybody in his era that was going to get pushed to the top got pushed to the top. Right. And they were world champions. You think of the Batistas, the Randy Ortons, those guys all came through.
What about Batista?
The theory I heard it actually today, and it's kind of like in jest, but I'm also like, maybe it's like John Cena actually is not the Tom Brady in that picture. He's the Peyton Manning.
And who's Tom Brady?
And so you're gonna probably cut off the Zoom feed here. I'm saying, but
fingers on the button.
Dominic Mysterio.
Watch yourself. Shut up. No.
His last match would be against Dominic Mysterio.
I want a Dominic Mysterio match, not the last match. If any, man. Because
but think about it. You can't get Edge. We can't get Edge. Right. More than likely, we're not getting Edge. Jericho time-wise wouldn't really make sense if you want his return to be a Rumble surprise.
Sure, but
who else is left besides Batista or Brock Lesnar?
Because then you go, okay,
Batista.
well, okay, what about The Rock? Because if Cena's Peyton Manning, Tom Brady could be The Rock, because the story was, right, Peyton Manning, lost to Tom Brady a few times before finally getting over the hump. Remember the WrestleMania story. Cena lost that first WrestleMania match to The Rock after waiting a whole year to get it. Remember, they announced that main event a year in advance and then lost and had to come back around and finally got the best of The Rock for the
29,
title.
Yeah.
So that could be the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady reference. It could be.
Which fun fact, after Cena beat The Rock at 29, I don't think he main evented a WrestleMania until this last one against Cody.
Right. I believe
you
you are
think
correct.
about it.
I believe
which
you
is
are
wild.
correct.
But you know what? I think a picture with Tom Brady shaking hands with Patrick Mahomes would make more sense if that could be Dominic Mysterio.
Sure.
Dude, honestly, I know it's funny because everyone's
probably
going to roll their eyes and be like, oh my God, Dominic Mysterio. I was like, no, dude, hear me out. There's an argument to be made there. Dominic Mysterio is pretty fucking great, dude.
We're always going to argue for Dominic Mysterio, okay? I will always argue for Dominic Mysterio.
I am an advocate for Dominic Mysterio.
100%. Let's jump to the WWE title picture real quick, because Cody Rhodes has Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu in that title picture. So the McIntyre-Fatu match didn't happen. Cody and Drew kind of happened, disqualification. Where do you go with this, and do you like these two being Cody's challengers?
I do like it. I think the common thread right now is that Jacob Fatu is going to be out for a bit with an injury of some sort, some medical issues going on with him. McIntyre is always a solid contender for the title. I think he's always a good opposition for that. Ultimately, I think Cody's successful in retaining it because I still feel like we're going to get to that one-on-one Orton-Cody rivalry match. I think we're still getting to that.
Orton's been teasing that for about 10 years.
They've run that for a long time, dude, but it has to happen. It has to happen.
Yeah. No, Drew McIntyre is always great, but the one thing I don't love when it comes to the Drew McIntyre part of this is putting him in situations where he's going to continue to fall short or get screwed over. Because I know that for a while it was like, okay, well, that just fuels his character because that's his character. I always get screwed over. But at some point it's like, okay, can we just give him his shine, right? Can we put him in a position that he can win? And so if he's just in this to put Cody Rhodes over again, which he's already done once at WrestlePalooza in the big main event that people thought that was going to be his moment, if we're going to continue to do this just to have him lose, that's the one thing I don't love when it comes to Drew being involved. But I do love him being in that world title picture. SmackDown, by the way, in San Jose had a lot going on because Ilja Dragunov came back, and not only did he come back, he defeats Sami Zayn for the U.S. title. Is this too soon? Because Sami Zayn's open challenge was pretty damn good.
Yeah. Dude, I really didn't like that. I almost wish that Dragunov came back at somebody else's expense.
Sure.
You could have used The Miz, he's always good for that. I really feel like we had talked about for months that Sami Zayn needed to find some kind of fire here. He needed to find a better direction to light that fire back under him, that same vibe of like his relevancy when he was with the Bloodline. Yes. And it started to dwindle pretty quick afterwards, right?
Yes.
I think they found that. They hit that stride back with the U.S. title and this open challenges. I'm like, this is great. He's having banger matches. And making this championship run seemed like something. And now I'm like, well, cool to see Dragunov back and all, but I really feel I don't agree with this move. I really don't.
No, and it's nothing against Ilja Dragunov. I'm happy for him. I know how great he is. I am all for him getting some shine, getting some gold. But yes, exactly word for word what you just said. Sami Zayn needed something. They found something, right? He had that match with John Cena. Can I have that open challenge? Remember, Cena had the U.S. title open challenge, and that's kind of what made John Cena so popular again after, years and years of fans kind of getting like, okay, same shit with John Cena. Yeah. That was a little spark in the John Cena run again. And this was the exact same thing for Sami Zayn. It was booked so well. It had Sami Zayn being very fun to watch. When I saw it on the card for SmackDown every week, it was something to look forward to. You never know who showed up. Great match after great match. I didn't like the timing. I don't hate Ilja Dragunov getting this win. I don't like that the Sami Zayn U.S. title open challenge gets cut off so quickly. I do want to jump into the MFTs and Solo Sikoa, because the week before was Shinsuke Nakamura, who supposedly has a rematch coming. The MFTs get involved. A new look for the MFTs in full force, Tamatonga included. The face paint, and also squaring off with the Wyatt Six. Is this enough to make these MFTs and Solo Sikoa relevant again?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It gives them their own kind of identity outside of just being, Solo's attempt at a bloodline. It's the face paint. It's like it's a small thing.
Yes.
It's like cutting your hair, dyeing your hair, or whatever, growing a beard. It's just it gives you a different feel, a different look, and you kind of become your own thing. I like it. I think especially going up against the Wyatts, a lot of these like kind of faction on faction, war of attrition things are always kind of fun to watch. And they got the numbers. I mean, it's going to be cool stuff. And I love that they have a look to match, like an intimidating look to match the Wyatt's creepiness.
Yes. It's instantly feels important again. So I love that for Solo Sikoa, because I believe he specifically has done great work. Everything around him has been a little sketchy and inconsistent, but it has nothing to do with Solo Sikoa specifically. So I love this for him. And also watching that stare down between them and the Wyatt Six, I'm wondering to myself, is this the first time we get a mid-card War Games? Do we need to force War Games in the main event scene? Because there's really not something there, especially with the Vision breaking up.
Yeah.
Could we get a mid-card War Games between the MFTs and somebody, and the Wyatt Six and somebody? So I'm wondering if we go that route to kind of switch things up.
Maybe. Right? We will see. Maybe. Yep.
Andrade is no longer with WWE. He attempted to show up in AEW, but then, by the way, there's a non-compete, so he's no longer with AEW. Who looks worse in this situation, Andrade, AEW, or WWE?
Anything Tony Khan related. Sure. At this point. I'm sorry, dude. I like Andrade, sure. Like, if I don't know. You're the talent. The people that have to punch numbers and oversee the legal matters, that's not the talent's job.
Right.
So whoever was just like, oh yeah, dude, sure, come on over. Like, you dropped the ball on that. You should have been more on it. You got to do your due diligence. But it's just like, I don't know. It looks, because I don't know specifically who didn't cover their bases here, but if he showed up on AEW television and they ran with it, it's like, did you check this? Because that makes you look kind of dumb, like just kind of like amateur hour with it.
For me, even if Andrade claimed that he didn't have a non-compete, first off, anyone calling WWE petty, I'm going to let you know that non-competes are everywhere in contracts in so many industries. It's always been a thing in wrestling. If you don't, stay for the length of your contract, and if you didn't know that already, well, then that says all we need to know about your status of having an opinion on this. But when it comes to if Andrade said, hey, yeah, I don't have a non-compete, I promise there's a way to fact check that. Right?
Yeah.
So somebody should have fact checked that, because let's remember Triple H said, and CM Punk told this story, they didn't reach out to CM Punk because they assumed he had a non-compete. That's why it took 2 months for Punk to show back up in WWE. Right? Because you just assume it's a thing. So there's a way to fact check that, and the fact that wasn't done is amateur.
I mean, those things are in place for a reason. You talk about going back in the day with Lex Luger showing up on Monday Nitro, the first Nitro, after just being a day, 24, 48 hours removed from being on WWF television, because he had a handshake agreement that he was going to stay there. And then you have, the whole thing with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall showing up in WCW. There's a reason why these no-compete clauses were put in place. Right. Because guys were going off of giving their word and then jumping to get a bigger check elsewhere. So I think it's AEW, and that's not just me getting on AEW's back just for the sake of it. I really think they didn't do their due diligence.
Right. Really, really quick, 4 or 5 words or less. What was your favorite part of WrestleDream? Samoa Joe's heel turn or Papa Sting showing up in the crowd?
Well, Samoa Joe turning heel on Papa Sting would have been nice. No. Hey, Sting, I will always welcome a Sting appearance, even if it's Father Time Sting. It's okay.
Shout out to Sting,
But
man.
Samoa Joe as a heel, I'm always here for that. I'm always here for Samoa Joe as a heel. He's a bully, and that's where he serves best.
He does, and whether predictable, maybe repetitive, probably, but it's best for business to have Samoa Joe as a heel. Raw Around the Ring is available on YouTube at Raw Around the Ring. Follow on social media at JB Around the Ring. We'll be back in November ahead of Survivor Series War Games in San Diego. He's at Dude Daryl Taylor. I'm Justin Valentine. We'll talk to you guys very soon.